Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we're going to be looking at Madolches. Pure Madolches. So for those of you who are not new to my channel, you know that I like Madolches. I play Madolche Utopia very regularly, but I finally got enough gems to go back into the Rocket Box once and for all and get 2 copies of every extra deck monster for Madolches, so I wanted to play Madolches Pure. This list comes from Cairo, the Madolche Guru. I will link his channel in the description below. He is very good at Madolches, and I really appreciate his contributions to my channel. So, the skill is called Sorcery Conduit. It can be used before your normal draw each time your life points decrease by 1500. One of the cards from your normal draw this turn will be a random spellcaster from your deck. The only spellcaster that we are playing is Madolche Madolche. So this skill allows us to ensure that we will have Madolche Madolche on a turn that we have already lost some life points. We're playing Cosmic Cyclone to try and get ourselves to that 1500 mark to make sure that we can win. So it's a pretty good, solid deck. The problem really has been for me getting replays, because a lot of times when I start my combo and people know that they can't stop it, they just surrender. So I had a lot of wins where it was just too short to make a video around, sadly. Okay, so for the main deck we have Madolche Petting Sisor. This is a level 4, and if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon it from your hand, and when it's special summoned, you can special summon a Madolche from your deck or hand, except Petting Sisor, and if you do, reduce its level by 1. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the deck except for Madolches for the rest of the turn. Petting Sisor is our bread and butter. We special summon this card, and then we immediately special summon our Pudding Cess from our deck, and we can make its level 4 and start Xyz summoning. And how do we get Petting Sisor? We play Madolche. Madolche, when this card is normal or flip summon, you can add 1 Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. That is not once per turn, so you can use Madolche to get your Petting Sisor out and try and completely overwhelm your opponent. Normal summon Madolche, grab the Petting Cess special summon, get the Pudding Cess. Pudding Cess's effect is, while you have no monsters in your graveyard, this card gains 800 attack and defense, and after damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy that target. Both these effects are pretty strong, but we will usually just use this card as Xyz material. For the other monsters in our deck, we are playing Madolche Hootcake. You can target 1 monster in your graveyard, banish it, and if you do, special summon 1 Madolche monster from your deck, except Hootcake, once per turn. So Hootcake will usually be used to bring out the Mesengelato, which will allow us to continue our Xyz plays even further. Mesengelato is a level 4 warrior monster. When it's special summoned, you can add 1 Madolche spell or trap from your deck to your hand, but you must control a beast-type Madolche monster to activate this effect. So you Hootcake into Mesengelato. Mesengelato draw either Chateau or Titular Knights, and then you can Xyz again, and you will have another rank 4 on the field with your Madolche and your Mesengelato. The turn 1 is very, very strong as long as you open exactly Madolche. The other cards that we have in the deck, we have Book of Moon for survival, Cosmic Cyclone to help enable our skill, Madolche Chateau. This is a field spell that we can search with Mesengelato. When this card is activated, shuffle all Madolche monsters in your graveyard into the deck. That is extremely important. We need to have no monsters in our graveyard for Petting Sisor to work, so Chateau is a great card to use if you have already been disrupted to try and get some stabilization back. All Madolche monsters on the field gain 500 attack and defense points. If a monster in your graveyard would be returned to the deck by the effect of a Madolche monster, you can add it to your hand instead. That's not once per turn. So anytime that your Madolche monster is destroyed, it shuffles itself back into the deck, and you can add it to your hand with Chateau instead, which is really powerful. Madolche Ticket is a continuous spell card. When a Madolche card is returned from your side of the field or your graveyard to your hand or main deck by a card effect, you can add 1 Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. If you control a face-up fairy-type Madolche monster, you can special summon the monster from your deck in attack position instead of adding it to the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn, so that's really, really good. Being able to special summon an extra monster from your deck whenever one of your monsters return to the deck is really, really powerful. It works really well with Chateau. All of your Xyz monsters are fairies, so you just need to have an Xyz monster out for you to resolve this effect. We are playing Ice Dragon's Prison at 1. This will allow us to interrupt our opponent and get some extra value from our opponent's plays. Don't sleep on Ice Dragon's Prison, it's a very good card. Then we're playing 2 Crackdowns because we only have 1 Ice Dragon's Prison. Crackdown is good enough. And lastly, we are playing Madolche Knights. This is a counter trap that you can search with Mesengelato. When a monster effect is activated, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, negate the activation. Then if you control Madolche Pudding Cess, you can shuffle 1 random card from your opponent's hand into the deck. We won't usually have Pudding Cess out, but being able to negate a monster effect is really nice. It doesn't destroy the monster, but it's a counter trap, which means your opponent can't respond to it. So it will definitely shut down a monster effect. The monster doesn't have to be face up. It can negate effects in the hand or the graveyard. Very, very good against Sous ships and other decks like that. So definitely use this card to your best advantage. For the extra deck, we have Madolche Queen Tiramisu. This is the best Xyz monster in the game. Hands down. This card is crazy. It requires 2 level 4 Madolche monsters. Once per turn, you can attach 1 Xyz material from this card, target up to 2 Madolche cards in your graveyard, shuffle those cards into the deck, and after that, shuffle cards your opponent controls into the deck up to the number of Madolche cards return. This does not require you to have monsters in your graveyard. You can have Madolche Knights in your graveyard, and that is a Madolche card. You don't resolve the effect of Tiramisu until its detach has already happened. So you have to have 1 card in your graveyard at least, but you detach another card as material, then you can target that card as well. So you target the 2 cards in your graveyard, you return them to the deck, then you shuffle that many cards your opponent controls into the deck. Doesn't have to be monsters, can be spells or traps, and you don't target, which means your opponent doesn't get to interact with you in response to this effect activating. They can only interact in response to you targeting the cards in your graveyard. So if they DD Crow, for example, then they will save one of their cards. But they can't fire off a trap card in response to you returning that trap card to the deck. If they fire off a card in response to you activating Tiramisu's effect, you can choose a different card to return to the deck. So non-targeted shuffle of anything twice as a soft once per turn is insane. Tiramisu is our queen. All bow before her glory. Next up, we have Madolche Pudding Cess Chocolat a la Mode. This is a rank 5, which means that you can't use it with Order of Chaos, which is really annoying. It requires 2 level 5 Earth monsters, but you can also Xyz summon this card by using a rank 4 or lower Madolche Xyz monster you control as material. Once per turn, you can target 1 Madolche card in your graveyard and shuffle it into the deck. While this card has Madolche Pudding Cess as Xyz material, when a Madolche card in your graveyard is shuffled into the main deck, except during the damage step, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, special summon 1 Madolche monster from your deck in attack position or face down defense position. That is not once per turn. It is crazy good at using this effect twice in a single turn. It is so powerful. Chocolat a la Mode enables herself. She activates her first effect to turn on her second effect, and then if another monster is returned, such as with Tiramisu or with Glass Souffle, then you can activate the effect again, special summon again, and keep going. This card is how we get Hoot Cake on the field, it is how we get Gelato on the field, it is how we get another Glass Souffle on our field. It is a very, very powerful card, and you will make it going first, you'll make it going second, and you will be thrilled to have this card in your deck. Glass Souffle, this requires 2 level 4s. As a quick effect, you can attach 1 material from this card, target 1 Madolche monster on the field, and this turn that face-up monster is unaffected by monster effects except its own. That's really, really strong. You can use this in response to your opponent activating a monster effect, such as Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, to protect your monster, and then the second effect will trigger. If a Madolche card is sent to your graveyard while this card is on the field, so that includes Xyz materials, you can shuffle up to 2 cards from the graveyards into the deck. This doesn't target, so your opponent can react to you declaring the effect, but not react to you choosing cards. Again, non-targeted graveyard disruption is very, very powerful. It upsets a lot of decks. The only problem with Glass Souffle is how tricky it is to use, because the second effect does not activate on its own. It activates after the first effect has already resolved. So you can't really use the shuffle effect in response to your opponent targeting a card in the graveyard. You have to use it beforehand, which is kind of hard to do, especially with skills, but I know that you guys can make use of this card, and I'll show you in the replay. Then finally, we have Nightmare Unicorn and Nightmare Phoenix. These are just good cards. It's important to note that you do need 2 Glass Souffles to make this deck work, because Glass Souffle is a card that you make twice on turn 1. You make Glass Souffle, you go into Chocolat a la Mode, and then your Chocolat a la Mode comes out with another Glass Souffle, which is how you can kind of interact during your opponent's turn, because Tiramisu can't activate its effects as a quick effect. So if you don't have 2 Glass Souffles, I recommend that you watch my Utopia Chaos video instead, because that's how you play Madolches with only 1 of each. Alright, let's take a look at the replay. Alright, so we are going first against Ra. We're going to special summon Madolche Petting Cessor first, bring out our Pudding Cess, and Xyz into Glass Souffle in defense position. We activate Glass Souffle's effect, we detach not Pudding Cess, and then we get to Xyz into our Chocolat a la Mode, activate Chocolat a la Mode's effect, and target the monster that we detached, shuffle it back into the deck, and then we detach 1 material, which will allow us to special summon a monster from the deck. We special summon Madolche, then we normal summon our Gelato, and we Xyz again into another Glass Souffle. This will give us some disruption for our opponent's turn. We set Crackdown and we pass. It's our opponent's turn. They activate Immortal Sun God. Discard Ra to drop Monster Reborn. Perfect. Then they activate the True Sun God. They draw Millennium Revelation. Activate Millennium Revelation and use its effect to make it so they can revive Ra. We respond with Glass Souffle. Our opponent's going to Book of Moon our Chocolate Lava mode, but that's fine. Glass Souffle returns 2 cards to the deck, which includes Ra, and now our opponent can't special summon Ra because it's no longer in a graveyard, and they concede. There you go. The ability to disrupt your opponent's graveyard during their turn is very, very powerful. It will ruin a lot of decks that are on the ladder. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.